is going to be a day to remember, apparently. We've had a very interesting last 48 hours, things going on over there in the Middle East, but let's bring our attention back here to the United States. Today is Flag Day, or if you're about 25 to 30% of the population, it's going to be No Kings Protest Day. This is going to be big. This is not some kind of spontaneous love and affection type gathering. This is going to be a nationwide protest and a rage on, and let's just use the word that we're all thinking, riot. We got a lot to talk about what's going to happen today, and we're going to speculate a little bit about it, but we need to talk about the money behind this. We're going to talk about the organization behind this and the goals of this. We got a lot to talk about. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and these are the things the mainstream media will not talk about. They're going to just be covering the mostly peaceful protests that happened today. Hopefully you don't have too many cars burning and smogging up the sky. Yes, they're environmentalists until they're not. And then suddenly it's okay to burn cars. It's okay to pollute the sky with toxic chemicals and destroy vehicles and all that kind of stuff like that. It's hypocrisy at the highest levels. All right, so a lot of people are going to be telling you that these are all spontaneous. That everyone is just so fed up with this government, so fed up with President Trump that they just couldn't help but come out. Well, it's not spontaneous at all. These protests have been months in planning. There are paid leaders, paid organizers, paid agitators. Now, before you show up,
Shalom, Call Allah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakaha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who teach one Ruah, who taught me this truth. Peace and salutation to the Akyam, the fellow laborers, the hopeful elect, pushing this truth every single line through the four corners of earth. To the Akwath listening, learning in sincerity, and in truth and in silence. Shalom. This is your brother Shema from the GMS Toronto camp here in Toronto, here with another lesson, right? But we'll get right into it. Right, just touching on this day of protests in America, Babylon the Great, America the Great, right? I think it's dubbed No King's Day or something like that, right? And I was playing that soundbite from this podcaster, right? A truther, an Edomite truther, right? What appears to be a Edomite, you know? He might be Jake, right? But he's a truther, right? And he said something there, which us in this truth, we believe, right? And we know through scriptures that you can't trust this devil, right? Second Ezra, Sirach 12, right? And we know everything's by design, and we know this devil knows he has but a short time, right? But the main reason I brought this up, this little soundbite, is the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, right? But spiritual. Sirach 12. Verse 10, and it reads, never trust thine enemy, right? And we know according to scripture, the wicked according to scripture is Esau, Edom. We know according to scripture that the Israelites have enemies. We know according to scripture that the Most High Yahweh Shemashai has enemies, right? Primarily and chiefly beginning with Esau, Edom, right? Psalms 83 goes into that. And it reads, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness, right? This man is the wicked, okay? And everything we see going on right now is to fulfill, everything we see going on, period, is to fulfill prophecy, right? But everything we see going on right now, and that's getting all the coverage, according to these protests, right, that are being taking place today in America, the Great Babylon the Great. We know this devil is destabilizing via his agents, right? Via his media engine, Esau's medium, right? He's destabilizing everything, man, right? He's gonna crash his economy. He's gonna crash. He's gonna create anarchy, civil unrest. 2 Corinthians 10:4, and it reads, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal," right? This is spiritual war. Us in this truth. This is spiritual war, right? Scriptures say we wrestle not against we wrestle not against flesh, but against spiritual wickedness in high places. That's in Ephesians. Let me see if I can get that real quick. Ephesians 6. Ephesians 6. Ephesians 6. Ephesians 6:12. And it reads, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world," right? It's spiritual, man, right? Against spiritual wickedness in high places, right? So our fight is not of the flesh, right? Our fight is a spiritual battle, man, right? So you're not going to see members of the elect, the 144, right? The 1/3 were the body of believers that helps the women, the children. The 144 were the men, the prophets. You're not going to see them down there on No King's Day protesting, right? Screaming, "No justice, no peace." 2 Corinthians 10:4, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal," right? It's not a physical. Our warfare is not physical. We're not going to arm up and be marching. "But mighty through power," Yahweh B'Shem Shai, "to the pulling down of strongholds," right? Every time we speak, right? Elder Apostle Gabar always says, every time we speak, a little more of Babylon crumbles, right? This word, this truth going out. This is what's doing this. This is what's shifting things. This is what's shaking Esau's rulership. Verse 5, "Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of Yahweh," right? And what's exalted itself against the knowledge of Yahweh B'Shem Shai? Jebus, the RCC, the Roman Catholic Church, all right, Moism, idolatry, right, paganism, these pagan celebrations, Easter, Christmas, right? Thanksgiving, right? These are things that have exalted itself against the Most High. And who's the chief the number one perpetrator, the executor of all that? Esau Edom. He's exalted himself against the Most High Yahweh B'Shem Shai. Right? So these words are casting down. Are casting them down. And bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of a Mashiach, right? So the men of the Lord are not going to be out there marching, man, right? And All kind of, listen, anything could happen. Lord will, all hell breaks loose out there today. Lord will. Right? Anything could happen. Right? When you're out there in Esau's matrix, trying to fit in. I want her to listen to a little bit more of this, and then we'll close. Right? Fair use.
Up and do anything, friends. I need you to be warned. We're getting reports out there that, in fact, they do want to be confronted. And, in fact, they're not even sure that you guys will do a good job confronting them. So, what they're going to do is they have hired some of their people to wear MAGA gear and to confront and to antagonize and provoke their own audience. Now, we saw this back on J6, right? We saw that they actually paid their own agitators to wear MAGA gear and to actually provoke what happened on that day. This is something that still hasn't been investigated properly, still hasn't been shown, but they did it back then, and apparently they're planning on doing it again. They want to provoke the protests and give them a reason to go off the rails. This is going to be blamed on you. This is going to be blamed on me. So there's reports that MAGA antagonists have been hired and that they have been decked out with gear. Also, there's reports that cell phones are going to be banned from these protests. No, they don't want anyone to see what happens at these protests. Shouldn't that concern you?
Right. This place is going to be a recipe for anarchy, man. I wanted to grab another scripture. Let me hold this in Romans 13. Let me hold this scripture. Romans 13. I want to get 2nd Ezra 15. Second Ezra 15. Right, and look what came out on the news yesterday. The Marines, they arrested a civilian. Second Ezra 15 and 16, and it reads. Second Ezra 16 and 15. Salakia. Second Ezra 15 and 16. For there shall be sedition among men. Right? Sedition. You're going to that word sedition means rebellion. Right? Men invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. Right? How fitting. What's the name of this protest? No kings. Right? It's supposed to be nationwide. Right? They shall not regard their kings nor princes. These people, man, they're not going to listen. They don't care what the rulership. They're not going to care if there's a curfew, right? When all hell breaks loose. Because right now it's the build up. What we're seeing now happening is the build up, right? When all hell breaks loose and all bets are off, the people aren't going to care about shelter in place. Curfew, they're not going to care, man. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, their rulers, their mayors, their governors, their president, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. They're going to do what they want, man. Right? These are the times we are approaching. Verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Right? Checkpoints, 15-minute cities, curfews. Right, word came out that they had areas in LA had curfews throughout the week that just passed. Right, so these are the times we're going into, man. Right, and Esau's going to dial it up, crank it up. Lord willing, the Lord puts a spirit on him to go hard. Crank it up. Romans 13 and 1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. For there is no power but of Yahweh Bashim El Shai. The powers that be are ordained of Yahweh Bashim El Shai. Right, so the Lord Yahweh Bashim El Shai, whoever's in rulership, the Lord set it up that way, man. Scripture say, promotion cometh neither from the east nor the west. Right, but the Lord, let me see if I can get that. It's in Psalms. Is it 75? Or is it 78? Psalm 75 and 6. For promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south. But Yahweh Bashim El Shai is the judge. He putteth down one and setteth up another. Right? So whoever's in rulership, it's the Lord's will. Right? And right now Esau's in rulership to fulfill prophecy, man. The base man is in rulership. Right? All powers, whoever's in powership is ordained of the Most High Yahweh Shai. NLT. Everyone must submit to governing authorities. Right? Didn't Yahweh Shai say, run down to see what is Caesar's? Right? Meaning what? You obey the laws of the land. Right? Right? That doesn't mean if Esau passes a law that everyone must eat pork, you go and eat pork. Don't be simple, right? But you obey the laws of the land. Everyone must submit to governing authorities, for all authority comes from Yahweh B'Shem Shai, and those in positions of authority have been placed there by Yahweh B'Shem Shai. Right? And once again, Esau Edom is in power to fulfill prophecy. Right? The Lord put him there. Daniel 4:17. Romans 13 and 2. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, right, marching, protesting, banners up, chanting, waving flags, resisteth the ordinance of Yahweh Bashim El Shai, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. Right? So the elect men of the Lord are not going to be protesting, man. They're not going to be marching, right? Leave that to Esau. We're going to leave that to Esau and 2/3 and these heathen nations. Go ahead, knock yourself out. We want nothing to do with it. Verse 3, for rulers are not a terror to good works. Right? Good works, those in this truth. Right? We're not going to be scared of well, you know, we have a fear of the centurion from in the world, right? We do. We know he is the sword of the Lord Yahweh Shai on the left-hand side, right? But we're not out here being wicked, so we're not gonna be in fear of the centurions, the police, the military, right? For rulers are not a terror to good works, Salakia, but to the evil, right? Those that are out here being demons, they're in fear of the centurion, the military, the police. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. Verse 4. For he is the minister of Yahweh B'Shem El Shai to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid. Right, just said that, man. If you're out here being a demon, be afraid. For he beareth not the sword in vain, for he is the minister of Yahweh, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. Right. So you out here being a demon, you gotta fear the centurion, man. You out here being wicked, you gotta fear the police. Right? And listen, a lot of judgment is gonna take place at these protests, man. A lot of judgment is going to take place at these protests. So with that, call Allah Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Ba'Shem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone to teach one rule well. Shalom to the elect.